Good day, this is Dale Kratzer with the Lehigh Valley Veterans History Program for the Library of Congress. And today we're interviewing Colonel Clifford Keyes, born July 1st, 1928 in Burbank, California.
Go ahead.
My father was a minister, and he moved from Burbank, California to Ephrata, Pennsylvania, where I grew up as a little kid, and then to Washington, D.C., then to Westchester, Pennsylvania, so I'm familiar with the area. I was president of my college senior class, graduated in 1950, went to graduate school, got a master's degree. My father insisted that I become a minister. I wanted to be a doctor. And he kept hammering, honor thy father and thy mother in thy days, honor thy father and thy mother. So I got a master of theology and came into the Army as a chaplain, first lieutenant in January of 1954. I've got my DD 214 out there to show you. I was athletic, so I wanted to be a paratrooper and was assigned to the 11th Airborne Division, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, where I went to jump school. From there I went to Japan with the 508th Airborne Regimental Combat Team, just in southern Japan, Kumamoto. We jumped on Mount Fuji to prove to the Japanese that it was not a sacred mountain. Made them pretty mad, but enjoyed that. Came back to Fort Campbell, 101st Airborne Division. Was with the 508th Infantry Battalion there. Then I was sent to Fort Leavenworth to the Army's Command General Staff College as a student. Came back to, I have to look at my patches to see the sequence. Anyway, I was sent back to Fort Leavenworth to be an instructor at the Army Command General Staff College. I taught budgeting, management, and leadership because I had a master's degree in management systems. From there to Vietnam. Oh, in the interim, I was in KMAG, Korean Military Advisory Group, the peacekeeping mission. I was the American Army advisor to the Republic of Korea Army in Wonju, Korea. I had an interpreter and I had to rely on him because I didn't know what they were saying and they didn't know what I was saying, so I was hoping he would translate properly. But back and forth between the Pentagon, then to Vietnam with the 101st Airborne Division, back to the Pentagon. I was assigned to material quarters, FROCA, First Republic of Armor. That's it right here. KMAG, see it? Korean Military Advisory Group.
Were there any incidents with the North Koreans while you were there during that period of time?
No idea. You know, when the Army gives you orders, you pack up your bag and go.
Yeah, I understand, but were there any incidents with the North Koreans, like not like they're doing today? But,
there were incidents, individual incidents. A lot of it was because North Koreans were trying to come south, and North Korea didn't want them to come south. And they frequently would be shooting at them as they come across the border, so we counter-shoot to let the North Koreans come across. I never heard of any South Koreans going north. It was always North Koreans coming south. And I'm hoping that this stupid idiot is done away with and that Korea gets unified. The North Korea would like to be, the people there would like to be unified with the South Korea because 20% of the kids in North Korea are starving.
since somebody might look at this video 100 years from now, you might just want to clarify who that stupid idiot is.
Third generation of stupid idiots. He's only 29 years old and he's the dictator of North Korea, making all kinds of stupid assertions about sending nukes to Okinawa, Japan, United States. I know we can shoot them down. He supposedly has over 1,000 missiles. That's money that could have fed their kids. And Kerry was just in Beijing, China, so I'm hoping he gets the Chinese to tell those people to knock it off. But we don't know what China's ultimate goal is either.
Vietnam. When were you in Vietnam?
69, 70 full time, then I went back 3 times TDY.
And when you were there during the 69-70 period, what was your mission there?
I was chaplain of the 101st Airborne Division. On the way out, I'll show you a statue that was given to me for leading a mission, a rescue mission in Cambodia.
Can you tell us about that?
I can't, but I got a little statue in there that proves it was given to me by General Wright. He was a CG of the 101st at the time.
Well, let's put it this way. You've obviously seen something that was either in or on the verge of combat. Perhaps you could tell us what that was like.
Well, when I was in Vietnam, it was combat. I was with all the troops that were wounded and the ones that were killed. I had services for them before they were shipped back. We were glad to see a chaplain. Some of them were pretty bad. But I tried to get out there at least every other month. They accused me of going out there to get a hot meal, but I really went out to see the troops. And the Navy, there was no Navy chaplain on board the ship, so the Navy sailors would get around for the services too in the ship. USS Sanctuary, I remember that, right off of Fubai.
Can you describe the weather conditions in Vietnam?
Hot, wet, moist. In Korea it was cold, in Vietnam it was hot, so I don't worry about the weather anymore. 20 below in Korea and 120 in Vietnam.
Did you come across a lot of insects or?
I don't recall any.
No.
I didn't, I expected to be hot and sweaty and long days, short nights, a lot of noise. Right around the corner is a picture of our staff at Camp Eagle. But General Wright was a real soldier. He was out with the troops. And he encouraged his staff to be out with the troops too.
Where would the 100 Air Force do jumps at? Normally you don't think of Vietnam as, air
It's
drone.
jumped west of Phu Bai. They didn't talk about making any jumps in Vietnam.
Okay.
But I did. And skydiving in Korea.
Sticking with the hospitals for another moment, you obviously saw men after they were wounded, almost immediately, I guess, and then the medevac stations, and then on out to the hospital ships. How would you describe the medical treatment and the medical staff and the type of professionalism, if you will, that you saw with both the Army and the Navy?
I can't talk much about the Navy because I just expected them to be professional medics. The Army medics, I saw helicopters evacuating wounded soldiers under fire, and I had a lot of respect for them because they didn't have to go in, but they got shot at, and they were dedicated to helping that soldier get back to a medevac station or the sanctuary. So I have a lot of respect for those helicopter pilots.
Now you mentioned you saw them being evacuated under fire, so you were obviously there. Can you describe one of those incidents? Is that possible to describe what happened during one of those?
I think every high school graduate should have to spend a year in the military to learn teamwork, communication, responsibility. And that's what I say in these high school presentations. And I've been chided by some high school superintendents for saying that. I said, you asked me to speak, I'm going to tell you what I think.
Did you ever do any counseling while you were over there with any of the troops?
A lot of it, yeah, because these kids would be hurting. Now, a lot of them would get word from home that their wife was going around with somebody else, or their children had been hurt. They needed somebody to support them and tell them the good man upstairs hadn't forgotten you. And I know that a lot of soldiers went to Vietnam without being Christians, but most of them came back because they found that that was the one thing they could depend on.
Any counseling with people doing drugs when they were over there?
No.
Did you ever witness any of that?
No,
or
I wasn't aware of any drugs at all there.
But following up with Mike's comment, you were talking about the Christian aspect. What about other religions like Jewish? You ever have to counsel other faiths, or do you arrange for that?
There were three kinds of chaplains then: Protestant, Catholic, and Jewish. In a division there were 6 Protestant chaplains, 2 Catholic chaplains. Then in the Corps there was a Jewish rabbi chaplain. And the rabbi would make visits as often as he could, but he had a lot of territory to cover. So when the rabbi came, I would arrange for him to have services for the Jewish troops. And the commander would get the Jewish troops pulled back to Camp Eagle, our base camp, for the Jewish services on Saturday, the Holy Day.
What would happen if a man was wounded, he was Jewish, and there was no rabbi anywhere near? In situations like
Either
that?
the Catholic chaplain or the Protestant chaplain would pray for him, recognize that he didn't wear crosses or Jewish tablets. The chaplains wore a cross or a tablet, so it didn't matter what their faith was. If they needed some help, we were there to help them.
When you were at your base camp, did it ever come under attack?
Yes. In fact, the commanding general's helicopter was blown up. And they got our attention pretty quick. There's a picture of it on that wall. I'll show you on the way out. John Wright said, "You must have been praying, chaplain." I said, "Yeah, I was praying for myself."
What was there? Weekly attacks, daily attacks?
One charity collected over $50 million. Not one penny went to veterans. So I tell the people, I'm in a network of about 500 chaplains and people here, and I tell them, if you see a charity that you don't know, go online to a place called Charity Navigator. Punch in the name of the charity, they'll tell you whether they're legitimate or not. This is the American Bible Society, for example. The president of the American Bible Society makes $580,000 a year. So I wrote him a letter. I said, "Why don't you work for about $200,000 and then buy a lot of Bibles?" He didn't answer me. I don't send money to them anymore either.
Your jump on Mount Fuji, what was that like?
Just like any other jump, we knew that it would make them mad, but the Japanese were so proud of that holy mountain. You know, they took their shoes off when they walked up the mountain. So our battalion commander said, "We got to show them it's not holy." And we went up and jumped on it, and newspapers were, "American paratroopers desecrate the holy mountain," and so on. We said,
When was that? When did you do that?
55, 56. Don Kumamoto, Southern Island of Kyushu.
Where were you during the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Jeez, what year was that?
62.
62.
52. I just went in the Army in 54. So I was in seminary at that time, Kansas City, Missouri, Nazarene Theological Center.
Missouri went, Kansas City?
That's the headquarters of the church,
Yeah.
and then the seminary's there.
Yes.
Is there anything else? Colonel, could you maybe give some words of wisdom to our youth of today, that from all your experiences?
Be responsible for what you do, and be accountable. There's a difference between being responsible and accountable. I can hold you responsible because of your job title, but you have to take accountability for it. I can't force you to be accountable. I think what's lacking in our young people today is a lack of accountability. And they're living in a world, and there's more and more generations that are freeloading off the government, and they have no incentive. I was raised with a work ethic.